rate. So some of my clients have seen their MQL to SQL conversion rate increase by 30% by putting in just this like simple customize your lead magnet content into their workflow. And if you run that through your sales funnel, 30% increase from MQL to SQL in terms of revenue at the bottom of your funnel is a big difference.
It's a big deal.
Right.
Podcast with Jonathan Moss and Coach K. Tune in now, don't delay. Catch the future on display.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is the first official episode of 2026. Super excited because we're doing actually a new format, and I have my friend Justin Parnell here, who's going to be my first victim, if that's the right word for it. But I just want to say thank you so much, Justin. We've connected several times over webinar, and we've jammed over AI tools and stuff. And from the first webinar we had, I was super impressed with you because it's not, you don't just talk overall strategy and theory, but you actually get the meat and understand some of the things that go inside of it, which is refreshing to have that, because some people talk theoretically and I'm like, no, Justin knows his stuff inside and out. So anyways, super excited to have you. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jonathan. Thanks for having me on today. Glad to be the first of hopefully many guests to come on here and show some people some cool stuff. But yeah, let's make it all killer, no filler. Let's show some people some cool stuff.
That's right. So if you have listened for a while, you know him for the last couple of years. I've been interviewing both thought leaders and founders on AI tech and what people should be thinking around technology. And we decided this next year, we're going to be focusing more on application. So a podcast is going to be more kind of like a live workshop. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but Justin's going to be going back into one of his AI agents he's made and actually showing us the bread and butter behind it. And so the guests that we'll be having on as we go will be doing the same thing, to where obviously we want to get to know you, Justin, but we're also going to dive into the things that you build for your clients and actually show some things that people can go, oh, that's freaking awesome. So before we get into the tech and show you some demos, you run what's called JustinGPT, which I love. In fact, I'm jealous you have that name. It's freaking awesome. And this is what you do. You build automations and agents for clients, right? So tell me the gist. Tell me how you got into AI and how you got into the story and all the good stuff.
Yeah, I'll give you the elevator pitch. I've been in the B2B SaaS marketing, go-to-market space for the last 15 years. I've been a director of demand gen, product marketing manager, VP of marketing for B2B SaaS companies, scale up, startups, you name it. I'm sure this sounds very familiar to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's good.
Back in 2003, when ChatGPT came out, I was like, whoa, this is a paradigm shift kind of thing, like a lot of people. And I decided that I needed to be as close to it as I could. I started educating myself about transformer models, taking Google certification courses on everything they had about AI, listening to podcasts like your own and Lex Fridman and people like that are covering thought leaders in the space, and then consuming more and more content, just educating myself along the way. And last year, I founded JustinGPT as I went out on my own and started building things that I built for myself and for others, and now making that a business where not only do I build custom agents and automations for folks, but I also offer embedded AI skill up services where I'll embed with your team, work with the team for a month or two, teach everyone what I know on the team, and help enable them for their jobs to be done with AI, automations, both agents, you name it, right? And you dream it up and I'll let you know if it's possible. And if it's possible, we'll go build it. So
I love it. Yeah, I know that when we talked before, like we do very similar things. And like, honestly, people like yourself could be considered competitive, or they're my favorite people to talk to. I'm like, there's so many people who need so much help. There's no way one of us could do all of it because there's just so much stuff going on. So I love that you're doing that. And nothing but a joy to have you on and help kind of push what you do, because you do things differently than I do. And I think it's a good thing. I like to hear what other people do.
That's right, man. Yeah. We're all out here figuring things out together. And it's a tribe of folks like me. I'll tell you, I've met you, I've met Lisa Adams, I've met a lot of other folks, and now we all kind of work together. We're all friends, sharing our best practices and helping other folks.
And you know, Tani too, Lisa's partner.
Yeah, Tani and I also. Lisa calls us the Super Friends. I don't know if that's branded yet, but
that's awesome. You should. I've had both Lisa and Tani on. They're both awesome. They're wonderful ladies, super smart. Perfect. And so now we have the trifecta. We have Lisa, Tani, and now we have Justin. We've completed the circle, so we're good.
You've got all the super friends.
I love it. Let's get into it. What are you gonna show us today? Tell me about the agent. What's the output you're doing? Why'd you make it? Give me all that, and let's dig in.
Yeah, totally. So this is probably the most common agent I get asked to build, and one that a lot of people will not demo or show people because it is pretty powerful, and people do pay a lot of money to get this kind of thing built for them. But this is an agent that is essentially taking like a PDF or a slide deck or something that you use as a lead magnet that's static, that typically you keep as dated content, right? Behind a form fill, someone fills out a form, they get that PDF, and you're advertising that on LinkedIn or wherever you're advertising it. And what I'm going to show you today is how to leverage AI to personalize that piece of content for the person that is requesting it. So this content will be updated based on all kinds of different factors. Today, we're going to look at my business as an example. I built this for a lot of other people, but they probably wouldn't be too happy if I showed up theirs. So we'll look at the one for my business, which is live. Everyone can use it. And it's super cool. It's a agent that will leverage a piece of content that I use with clients called the 8 components of an AI agent. And based on whatever kind of agent is being requested via my form fill, it will create a custom proposal to build that agent, and it will send it to you via email, right? Then it will notify me in Slack and say, hey, I built a piece of custom content for this person.
Nice.
Emailed it to them for you. And then I can follow up and try to book a meeting or something like that, right? Later on down the road. But hey, everyone here can get a free scoping of an agent if they just want to use my tool. So go for it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, let's get into it. Show you. So this is a really cool concept, I should say, because it doesn't sound, I shouldn't say this because it's not this. I don't want to come across rude because it's not that way at all. It's not complex. Like, you have some make things are like 20 bajillion steps all the way through. It's fairly simple, but very powerful, which I think some of the automations that do the best are the more simple, very targeted things you're talking about. And then you can use those to build on top of each other, which I love that this is what you're doing.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. I'll go ahead, and that's a good segue. I'll show everyone just how simple this can be. This is what the workflow looks like. And I always advise folks whenever I'm working with them that you want to create agents that do specific things and chunk those things out into a longer job to be done, right? So let's say someone fills out a form. Today, we're going to use an Airtable form. That's great that you have an agent that makes this custom piece of content. That's all this agent really needs to do. And then let this agent then hand off to another agent in a sequence of workflows that will then engage with the person that filled out the lead form, that will enrich their account information, right? And have bespoke agents that are doing all of those things. That, yeah, if we combine these together, it would look like a big spider graph, right? Of like crazy going on. We've seen a million of these N8N images. This is like a leg of that spider graph, right? And so we're going to look at this today as a bespoke agent doing one thing. But yeah, you can combine this, chain this, hand this off with other agents to do a lot more complex things. Yeah, this is how I recommend tackling these things, though.
Yeah, you're inside of Make, so obviously there's tons of different platforms I know you've told me you've used in the past. We're using Make for a couple of different reasons. But quick question for you. As we go through this, I'm going to ask you why you're using each of these things. So question for you, first off, with the first tab, why Airtable and not like a Google Sheets or Google whatever connection? Why that?
So I personally like Airtable because of all of the capabilities that you can do with Airtable's API. I don't see any reason why this couldn't be swapped out for a Google form, a Google Sheet. You could be using a HubSpot form. You could be using all kinds of different things, right, to kick off this workflow. For the sake of simplicity, today, Airtable is really super easy to use. Their API is awesome. And whenever you use Airtable, you can configure your table to collect whatever kind of data you want. So I could create new fields in here, collecting different kinds of data that are getting updated by different agents, so on and so forth. And then take that table and then map anything in that table through their API into a workflow and hand it off to other agents to work with. That's super flat, super, super easy with Airtable. Not so easy with some other tools. That's the pro, I'd say, of Airtable. But yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't use a Google Sheet, a Google Form, HubSpot, whatever form tool you wanted. You could use Typeform. All that's fair game.
Is it fair to say that as I've tested out HubSpot and Airtable against Google Sheets or whatever the case is, Airtable seems a little bit more, I don't know if accurate's the right word or flexible, but it seems like you can do a lot more stuff like a Lego block versus like a Google Sheets. You feel a little bit more restricted with what you can or can't do with it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think like the customization and maybe like the Lego block or atomic nature of this to combine into other molecules,
Yeah.
more customization and customizable things within Airtable just makes it a lot more powerful, in my opinion, and less
Totally.
PG, where, you know, when you're using
Right.
Google and a Google form, it's a little bit rigid as compared to what you can do with Airtable.
Yeah, this is a good word for it. Rigid. Okay, keep going.
All right, cool. So yeah, let's take a look. So what I did was I created a table in Airtable. I've shown you guys this a couple of times. It just has 5 sample agents in it for today's use case. These are all go-to-market agents that people would commonly request: competitive intelligence monitor, automated lead enrichment and qualification, AI sales sequence personalization. These are all things that people have asked me to build at one point in time or another. So I just put that in here as sample data. It was pretty easy.
Right.
Airtable connects to Claude, and if you connect it with Claude Desktop, you can turn on the extension and just ask Claude to create some synthetic data entry for you so that you can test your agent. So that's a quick way to get 4 or 5 things in here really quickly and start testing. That being said, this is what it looks like once you connect Airtable. You're just going to log in with your OAuth. I've got a couple connections here. You can see the base that I'm mapping it to. A base is then comprised of a table, right? So the table is AI or agent requests.
People who are not familiar with Airtable, those are Airtable concepts when you talk about base and table, just so you know, because you don't know what that means. It's okay. It's like an Airtable thing. So it's not that complicated. Just want to be sure it's an Airtable.
Yeah. So you can set up bases. Think of it as like a database. They just call it a base. It's similar to Notion spaces, right? Like having a space in Notion. This is an Airtable base, and you can isolate these by client, right? If you're running like an agency or something, if you're a B2B SaaS company, you could have unique bases based on the different verticals you work in. If you're vertical SaaS, right? You can have multiple tables within a base. And then you need a trigger field. So it'll tell you here, you can use any date field basically to trigger this. I just use submission time. And then the label that displays when you're mapping things is just the use case title. And you can see in here, use case title is as it sounds. It's the first row in the table. So all good. I'm limiting this to 1 run per automation. So let's say you have a super popular asset that you're customizing for people and you're getting multiple requests per hour, depending on how long it takes this agent to run. You don't want things to back up. This is a use case where you might allow it to run 2, 3, 4, 5 times in one go. Just remember with make.com, depending on how long it takes for your workflow to run, it will time itself out after 45 minutes. So you can't run, let's say it takes 10 minutes to run this workflow, which it doesn't, but if it did, you couldn't run 5 at a time because it's going to time out after 45 minutes, right?
Yeah, smart.
Pro tip, don't run more than 45 minutes.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I've been through it. So if you haven't, then you'll know. The next step, we're using Claude, and there's a particular reason why I'm using Claude.
I was going to ask you, I'm glad you're going to say this. Yeah, keep going.
So Claude is the only provider that allows you to leverage what they have built called skills. And skills are a way to give Claude a markdown file or other example files that tell Claude exactly how to do the task that you want it to do. So in this case, I've generated a skill with Claude that gives Claude specific instructions for how to personalize this content. The way that you can generate a skill is just going into Claude and having a conversation with Claude. Claude has a capability built in where if you hit the Claude console, you can just have a quick, very plain conversation with Claude about how to build a skill to do a certain task. I provided Claude a copy of the PDF that I want to customize, my lead magnet. And then I told it, hey, Claude, I want to build a skill to use with the Claude API. I want it to do these specific types of customization. And then we just had a back and forth conversation about how to build that. And it gave me a sample output. It showed me exactly what it was doing with regards to the outputs. And we went back and forth a couple of times until I got it to give me what I wanted. So at that point, I downloaded the skill from Claude. So I downloaded this AI agent architecture gamma skill, saved it locally. And then I went over to the Claude developer platform. So platform.claude.com. And I went to the skill section of the API. And then I just clicked on add skill. And this is again, power tip here. You have to actually drag that zip file from your local file structure into this square. If you do not click and drag it into the square, you cannot upload a custom skill, even though it says you can upload. You have to directly drag and drop it into this for it to work. So once you do that, it'll say continue, you can upload it, and boom, here it is. I have my custom skill in here. You can add as many custom skills as you want. It comes preloaded with skills for doing Excel tables, PowerPoints, PDFs, Word docs out of the box. So you can leverage all of these via the Claude API. I added my own custom one to prompt Gamma, which we'll show you here in a second, to customize my PDF. All right, so when I configure Claude in this second step, it's going to allow me to choose several different things. I choose to use the Claude Opus 4.5 model. The reason for that is it is just better at design work than any of the other Claude models. So if you choose Sonnet or you choose any of the other lighter models, they're not as comprehensive in the design elements and brand standards that you would probably want as a marketer. So just be aware that this is the model I would recommend using that's going to adhere to all of those things and really follow instructions well. Effort level for reasoning, I chose medium, seems to be working just fine. I give it a sufficient amount of tokens to do the work. So I give it 50,000 tokens. It doesn't always use 50,000 tokens. I just give it enough so that it doesn't cut itself off. We're going to supply a user prompt, and the input type is just going to be a single string. And I generated a prompt again using Claude, going back and forth for it to give me the prompts to use with the skills. I carried on this conversation until I got it to give me my system prompt and my user prompt. Here it is. And so, then I came in here and I just copied and pasted that straight in. I mapped my form fields for customization over to Claude. So I provided it the first name, last name, company, title of the person, all this information from your request that came over to customize this PDF. So
it connects from the Airtable original content to Claude, so it understands what the content.
Right. So you can see here, I've mapped in from Airtable, which is like flashing over here, all of these fields. So I've said, hey, what's the business objective for this agent? What's the current process the marketing team's using? All that stuff that came out of the form that we used with Airtable to collect our requests. I mapped that into the workflow so that we can pass that over to Claude and it can have a ton of information to customize and make this PDF as rich as it possibly can.
We do. I think I told you this in Momentum, but like different technology I'm seeing, we're doing this to where this is one reason why I love Airtable inside of Make, is because you can call on cells or forums inside of it where you can't necessarily do it in Google Sheets, and then gives it the context of that content inside of the prompt so we can use it in its output, which is awesome. It's really cool to be able to do that.
And it can take this and retool it, right? So it's taking everything that I collected from the form fill, using my methodology for building agents, which I'll show you in a second what that is. It's basically 8 components of building an AI agent. And then it's meshing those two things together and generating a new document, which is like a customized PDF based on my methodology and the user's requirements. Pretty awesome, honestly. Like, you're delivering real value to someone in real time. And I'm sure most people that watch this have these lead magnet assets that could be leveled up with this kind of like generative smashing of the user's intent with their methodology to create something really powerful. Cool. So I just tell it to generate 10 slides based on a prompt to generate 10 slides in Gamma, and it will do that. I'm not using extended thinking with this model since this is a pretty simple request. We're not going crazy with this. But as we scroll down, the next thing that you guys are going to want to pay attention to is the skills section. Here, you're going to select the skill type as custom. This means that you created the skill. It's not one of the out-of-the-box Anthropic skills that we showed you before, which is those were the docx, the Excel file.
Right.
That would be the Anthropic skills. This is a custom skill. Once you select custom, you'll see all your custom skills appear here. I only have one in this API, which is the one that I showed you that I uploaded earlier. And then the version, if you uploaded updates to your skill, let's say you have like version 2, version 3 in your testing, all the different versions would be here of the skill. So you just select the latest version, right? You can actually combine skills so that the API can use multiple skills. So you could have, you could have several in here that are being used at the same time. You could have a coding skill to code a landing page to go along with the asset and be doing a couple of different things. And then, I just gave it a basic system prompt to write like me and use my methodology.
Steps,
This is a basic system prompt. Most people probably understand what that is that are watching this. And then that all gets handed off. The output of that gets handed off to Gamma. And I know you're curious as to why we're using Gamma today. It has with why we're using Make today. Gamma, for all of your listeners that don't know, is a AI design company, and Gamma specializes in making PDFs, slide presentations, web pages. It's similar to a Lovable, but more design centric than Lovable.
Yeah.
And it's really focused on those kinds of content as like its key use case. The reason I'm having Gamma design this content instead of Claude is because when I let Claude develop the PDF, it is a little janky, right? Like it's a 10-page slideshow. It's a 10-page PDF. And page 1 through 5 may look really good, but then like your logo is in a wonky spot in page 10, right? Or stuff that you just don't want to have happen with your brand standards, and stuff that, you wouldn't want automated because it could be poor quality at scale.
A mess.
And I know so many people struggle with this, and they struggle with quality control and customizing content like this. And I highly recommend using Gamma with a pre-built template in Gamma to generate this content. If you do that, you will, combined with a Claude skill, you're going to see very consistent and very deterministic results from your AI agent, which I know is what all these marketing folks listening to this call want. So we just let Claude spit out the response here in the input text section. This is the prompt for Gamma to generate the content. I'm telling Gamma to preserve it, keep it the text structure original. And another thing about Make and Gamma has built a custom module in Make that exposes all of these things. If you were to try to do this with N8N or Zapier or anything like that,
it's a pain.
Gamma doesn't have a custom connection there. So they haven't mapped in these special things like text mode. They haven't mapped in special things like it from their API that they're only exposing with Make that will not be exposed in N8N, that will not be exposed in other platforms. I actually saw Sabrina Romanoff try to do the same thing with N8N, and she ended up telling her users to use Gamma with Make because there was a native one there, and she was struggling with N8N, and she just was like, don't use N8N, use Make. So it's not just coming from me. Some other people out there have experienced the same thing. But we're going to have it do a presentation. It's going to do 10 cards. You can go up to 60 on their pro model. So that's a lot of slides in a slideshow. Get up to 75 in Ultra, which is their higher end paid platform. Probably no one needs a 75-page program. Anyway, I let the AI decide when to break slides in two so that it can space things appropriately. So you don't have one mega slide and then one very small slide. Let it kind of make a decision about where it might do the page breaks. My skill gives it instructions on where to do the page breaks, so it should follow that in most cases. This is where you select your theme. So you'll have multiple themes available in Gamma. You'll notice they have a ton of out-of-the-box themes that you can just leverage that they've built that all look really nice. I built my own with my own brand standards, which I'm using theme. I suspect most of you guys will want to do the same thing. It's super easy to do when you log into Gamma. Just go in, build a custom theme. It'll ask you for your hex codes. If you have a website, you can just put your website link in there. It'll pull everything down from your website and auto create a theme for you. Just super easy to do, guys. You can get started super quick. Any other instructions for the AI you might want to include? I'm not including anymore because my skill is robust enough to not need it. Amount of text, medium, everything else, I don't use that for this use case, but maybe you would. This is where you will want to pay attention. The image source and how it's generating images in your deck, you can select and customize. I'm letting AI generate the images in my deck. You can select no images. If you don't want images, you can let it use free Unsplash, whatever you want. If you select AI generated, it's gonna give you access to a lot of different AI models to generate the images in your deck. I am on the pro tier of Gamma, which you will need a paid tier of Gamma in order to get access to their API. And I'll show you where you can get the API access here in a second. And I get access to Nano Banana Pro. I think that's, for all intents and purposes, the best image model right now. If you wanted to use OpenAI's latest model, it is available down here, but you have to be on the ultra tier and it consumes 120 credits versus 10 credits in Gamma. So these are API credits. So on your subscription, you'll be given a certain amount of credits. That model consumes quite a bit of credits.
It's nice. I didn't see this actually. It's nice that they say here's best for text because ideogram is awesome for text. Not that Nano Banana's not, it's actually decent, but I still think the ideogram's better. So it's really cool that they kind of give you suggestions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's really cool like recommendations. Dolly is great for stylized things, right? Yeah. Recraft Vector, if you have like a vector file or something or an SVG that's a part of your skill, as an example. This would redraw that when it comes over, and you could use logos and things like that. If you're using SVGs and vectors regularly, you probably understand what that means. It's just scalable art that can be used in your presentation. And then this is a slight prompt about how I want my image to look. Just for my brand standards, I'm letting Nano Banana do very basic image generation. You can select your slide format. I use 16:9. That's pretty standard for slides. But there's all kinds of other design formats that you could use for social. You could use for a lot of different things, right? Web pages, PDFs, A4, letter, things like that for PDFs you could use. I'm just using 16:9 because this is a presentation format. Workplace access, view, external access view. This allows the person receiving the link to view the content. You're going to want to enable that. You could give no access or comment or edit access if you wanted to. Depends on your use case. If you gave comment access and the person received it and they commented a question in the Gamma, then you could start engaging with them in your sales process, right? If they asked you a question about the PDF or wanted further information, that's just a cool way to enable back and forth communication with the people that are requesting this content. And then, I just save it in a folder and allow it to export as a PDF. So all good. After that, the next step is to deliver the content. So I'm just using Gmail. Most people probably can email. You could use another email client if you wanted to. If you wanted to use MailChimp or set whatever your Limlist or whatever your email provider is, you can use those different things. You just you map the email address from your Airtable file straight into the recipient address. I customize this so that it's personalized for the person's first name. And then I came down to the body section. Again, I just personalized my message. This is essentially you're writing your email here. Put the person's name, give them the output from Gamma here. So Gamma will give you the Gamma URL where they can view the content. And then let them download a copy here so they can export the content. If you allow for PDF or a PowerPoint to be created, those URLs would be here too. And they could access those just as easily. And this is going to send from my email. If you had an email signature, you wanted to use something snazzy, you could put that in here. This accepts HTML tags. If you wanted to design anything into the body of the email, you could do that too. But I'm keeping it super basic. It's
super basic. It's cool.
Yeah. And then I update Airtable with the link to the Gamma file that was just created. So I just add this URL into my Airtable. You can scroll over here and see the Gamma output for each one of these files. Just drop the URL in here as part of the workflow. And then I message myself in Slack and just say, this person has requested an agent for the use case title. And then here's the deck that I sent them, the Gamma deck. So I get notified in my Slack instance in the new leads channel every time this workflow is completed. So yeah, that's the workflow end to end. I don't know. Did you have any questions while I was like going through that, John? We can kick it off, man. We can run this bad boy.
Let's run it. Let's run it.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
what I think is fascinating, what's cool about this is there's so many ways you could apply this to whether it's like a custom thing for a sales team who needs a deck for their own proposals, that kind of stuff. It could be another thing where you have an automation on the back end to where after a day, it sends an automatic response saying, hey, just making sure you got this thing. Let's set up a time to talk. All these cool things you can do as a result of it. Like this one thing becomes a good foundation. You can start branching off very easily into a lot of different other agents on top of it, which is
right. Yeah. This is, like I said, like one of the chains or a link in a chain that could be doing a lot of different things, right? We could spider web this out to do all kinds of stuff. And it's really, you can insert this into your workflow wherever it makes sense to develop custom content. You can also do other things besides decks. You could do a web page with Gamma. You could do a single page PDF, right? Like you could do a lot of different things. Customize this for your own use case, however you see fit, and your tech stack. One thing that I'll share with everybody today is I'll give you guys my make blueprint, the JSON file. So I will export this blueprint. You guys can then take my export and come into your own make and hit import blueprint. And then this will just show up in your make.com. You'll need to customize for your API keys and your logins and everything like that, but all the prompting will be in there. You'll probably want to customize that too, just because you don't need JustinGPT's deck being created, but at least it gives you a template to work off of, and you can make it your own from there.
You can use your eight, what do you call 8 things of make an AI agent make you think?
Yeah, let's take a look. So this is what it looks like when the agent runs and the Gamma has been created. So the 8
and this is your brand design, right?
This is my custom brand design for JustinGPT. It's got my logo on it. When people come and look at this, you can include a link to check out the asset if you want, or people can request their own. But this is what it looks like. This is a Nano Banana image over here on the right. Nano Banana made this from the prompt that we told it to use. And then, this is the 8 building blocks of intelligence. Basically, I think every agent contains components like this: a workflow, a data layer, a systems layer, model selection, context prompting, tools, outputs, so on and so forth. And then this workflow, this agent is coming up with its own workflow, its own data layer, its own systems recommendations, its own model selection based on the work that I did with the skill and the Airtable request. It's meshing all these things together and creating a custom artifact on like how to create the agent that they want to create. Right. Here's another Nano Banana image. Yeah, it's doing a pretty good job, honestly.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a simple use case, but so powerful. You know what I mean? It's just so cool when you can do this kind of stuff. And nice for you is that you just get a ping in Slack. Just says, hey, just sent your thing off. That's got to be kind of a dopamine rush. You have another ping saying, hey, send another proposal. Like, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, every time you get one of those, you're like, heck yeah, someone else is like super interested enough to have requested this. But yeah, we can see like this just ran. Let's see the use case. It was an automated lead enrichment and qualification agent request. They want to reduce their SDR manual research time by 80%. Cool. Let's see what the output looks like. Yeah. Transform inbound leads.
Yeah, look at that.
Solutions. Yep. And you guys saw how long that took to run. Like super.
How does it cost you for each run? $1?
Yeah, let's take a look. So let's look at how much is happening over here under usage. So output tokens are 3,300, input tokens are 17,000. This is probably in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 cents, I would think, to run from Claude's side. And then Gamma It's all on my Gamma subscription. I'm subscribed to Gamma, and here's my Gamma Pro subscription. Under settings, this is where you can get your API key, create API key for those of you that don't know where to find it yet. But for, I think it's $20 a month or something like that, I'm subscribed to Gamma, and it gives me however many credits I get per month. And then you have this little like API generated. Here's all
your stuff,
all my API generated stuff that I've been doing. But yeah, let's see. My account balance, credits refresh on January 8th. I'm getting 8,000 per month. I've used about 1,400 credits this month via the API, and that's probably doing like 20 to 30 requests. So if you needed,
pretty good. I mean, it's good.
If you needed more than that, all in all, I think this is probably running each request at around like 10 cents, maybe 15, 20 cents max.
Yeah.
That would be the absolute max that I can imagine.
And then Make has its own cost for each run, right? So every time,
right? So that in terms of Make billing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps, right? Which is how they bill. So Make, it will bill you for each step in a workflow. Their base plan that you can get started with is 0.006 cents per step. So it's 1/6 or 0.6 of a penny every step. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 3.6 cents to run this.
Yeah, super cheap. So yeah, so basically, I mean, like you said before, you have $20 on Gamma, which you're using anyways outside of this, regardless, and then you have everything else. So it's maybe 20 cents, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Probably like 20 cents. And again, this is using the Opus 4.5 model, Frontier model. It could get more expensive in the credit consumption with Gamma if you're using like OpenAI's image gen versus Nano Banana or whatever tier you're on there. But yeah, very cost effective. I mean, who wouldn't spend 20 cents to send an MQL, a customized piece of content, and enhance those conversion rates? I think most people would be down for that. And yeah, if you guys want a free playbook on any kind of agent you can dream up, feel free to submit the form. I'll give Jonathan the link.
Yeah, give me the link. I'll have people submit to you. That'd be cool.
Right. Yeah. They can get their own agents from Justin or their guides too.
I love it.
Don't fault me if I follow up with you guys later on though.
Transparency. We'll be following up with you either.
I might follow up with you.
Tell me, one thing I love to talk on the podcast is like, not just a cool tool, which this is freaking awesome, but the impact. So like, this is obviously where you're showing yourself personally. Can you talk about both yourself and then one of your clients you can anonymize and say something like this? What has been the impact of doing, because this again is not a complex flow. It's awesome. It's powerful.
Right.
So how you find the value and impact as a result of something like this?
Yeah. So this, for vertical SaaS companies, this is a really powerful unlock and tool for enhancing conversion rates from MQL to SQL. Marketers who know what the hell I'm talking about when I say MQL and SQL know that is the handoff between marketing and sales. And when you're in vertical SaaS, you have a bunch of different buyer ICPs, and your product could be skewed slightly in use case from persona to persona, right? And like when you have a different persona requesting that lead magnet, wouldn't it be great if on the fly you could tweak that deliverable slightly to their use case, right? If they just told you what kind of business they are and like what their title is, you could then customize that piece of content and align it to their use case in a way that gets them to convert on that sales call at a much higher rate. So some of my clients have seen their MQL to SQL conversion rate increase by 30% by putting in just this like simple customize your lead magnet content into their workflow. And if you run that through your sales funnel, 30% increase from MQL to SQL in terms of revenue at the bottom of your funnel is a big difference.
It's a big deal.
Right.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, it basically goes down the funnel to 30% more revenue, right? If you oversimplify things, right? You're getting 30% higher conversion of your leads. Just work that through at the same conversion rates through the rest of your funnel. And yeah, you could, like to your point, Jonathan, you could then put this into a follow-up email from a salesperson after they meet with somebody where they just come in, check a box in Salesforce. It kicks off a new workflow that takes momentum call data and customizes a piece of content for that person as a deliverable after your call, right? And then boom, there you go. And that increases the SQL to op rate, right? Just because you're having a really tight follow-up, really succinct notes, really cool customized things that you're delivering to people where salespeople just don't have time to do that with every call. There's a lot of different stages in the funnel where this could be applied. You could even use this in developing social media assets and things like that, right? There's a lot of different ways to leverage a workflow like this.
Do you feel like they're and this is more future state, like, because I keep hearing more and more of this. I hear musings of this, like from different AI people, but do you see a world where, I mean, you have an agent that's making this asset coming to a person. Eventually there's going to be an agent for the person consuming the asset saying, hey, is this even worthy of my time to even consider working with Justin? Because then you have an agent that just goes out and finds 10 Justins and all auto adds in their form fills and gets all these proposals, like becomes this massive analysis of stuff. Do you see that world coming?
Oh man, you've been reading some of my articles. I think that the next paradigm that we're fast approaching for go-to-market teams is designing for agents. In the way that you're describing, buyers will have agents that filter content for them, that prepare and analyze content for them. And marketing teams will be tasked with marketing to an agent. So what does that mean? You're basically going to learn like what are the keywords, what are the requirements, what is the schema that the agent is looking for to consume to make it easier for it to analyze things. And instead of making a really cool design PDF with a workflow, you're probably building a skill that does RFP responses for agents, right? And it's something like that, where like, you're like, okay, what are the schema that I need when the agent comes in? What does it need to be outputting, and create skills for Claude to like prepare that for an agent and output it.
Right. With you, I agree with you on that. It's going to be fascinating to where I had this vision. I'm sure you know about like deal rooms where you have customers come into a deal room, that kind of stuff. I always thought it'd be cool to have the opposite, where you have a customer deal room. So agents come in and you have one centralized place for a customer. You have all these things coming in. I think that'd be freaking cool to do.
That's the world I'm imagining, man. I'm imagining everyone has a deal room and their agent is sitting in the deal room waiting for a request for people to come in and submit proposals. And yeah, that's the world I think that's coming. For B2B SaaS, that's what it'll look like. For B2C, it will be like your own personal agent, and big companies will be designing like their agents to interface with people's personal agents. And
isn't that crazy to talk about? It's freaking insane. It's awesome and it's insane at the same time.
It is, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Get ready for that world. Momentum is in a good place for that, though, because you'll be able to, like, from your call data, understand how people are going to design their agents. So, like, another use case.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We have all this really cool golden nuggets we get from both from prospect data and then from current customers. Like, obviously I can't market that, but we personally learn a lot from it in mass, because we have all these customers running these different agents. We learn like that. So it's the speed of which and this would be the case. And with anybody who's really leveraging an AI, kind of like yourself, it's like you're seeing the patterns over time of what people are accessing through just this very simple agent. But that alone is training for you and the businesses alone. So you said, what else can we do to amplify this based on all the requests we're getting? Because then you can make like a custom product, which is just this template. You sell the template instead of doing a custom AI agents. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. I think what I'll start seeing is just amplification of listening, basically. Like, I'll see what the most common use cases are. Go to my YouTube. You can see me build stuff like this. I actually go into a way more technical breakdown here, but that just becomes a pipeline for me to create more content, to create courses, to whatever, right? Sell agent templates. But yeah, check out the YouTube guys. I go into a lot more detail on creating the skill there and finding your Gamma API, building a Gamma template, all that fun stuff. So if, you want to pause, rewind, work through this on your own terms, I link to the JSON packet there too. So feel free to download the JSON from there too and upload it to your own make. But it's just going to be like amplified listening. Help me decide like what kind of content and like what I should be building, because for me, my time is valuable too. There's only one of me, man. I can only build so much. I just need to know what people want built, and I'll go build more of it. Like I said, you dream it, I'll tell you if you can do it, and we'll build it together.
What'll be cool is when you can download your brain and have an AI agent that makes AI agents. So then you have the things and it auto analyzes. Like, that's gonna be the cool thing too.
We're close to that with the skill, man. That's how I built the skill.
I know.
Built off
I
of
know.
like a lot of me buildings.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Well, your website, if someone wants to work with you, is JustinGPT.ai. Is that correct?
Yeah, you guys can find me there. Click to book a call with me, a 15-minute intro call. Just hit me up.
Cool. I'll make sure in the show notes I'll have like your YouTube. I'll have the your regular website, also your LinkedIn. So I'm gonna have a bunch of stuff for you. So I'll have your you okay if I share the make link too? So I'll have the make link
for sure.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, I'm
YouTube.
gonna give you.
Yeah.
I'll give you links to all the content that we talked about today. Feel free to make sure everybody gets everything they need. Yeah, and connect with me on LinkedIn if you guys want to chat.
That's it, man. I love it. Justin, thank you. Like having this and be able to turn out with you and go into detail, this is like insanely helpful. I know for people. I know you also have, like you said before, you have, if people want more of a technical deep dive, you have that as well. So I'll link that to the same module. But I've already been on your channel. You have a ton of really good stuff. You go into deeper stuff. So I'm definitely a fan and learning a ton from you. So I just appreciate everything you're doing, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, and subscribe.
And subscribe. That's right. Okay. Appreciate you all. Justin, appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having
else?
me, Donovan. It's been great. Hopefully this is valuable for everybody.
Oh, I think it's awesome. This is great. Like, I can't wait for everyone to be geeking out with this. This is going to be great. So thank you, my man. Appreciate it.
Nice. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.